Hey everybody, Grommel's here with another Warzone video, flying another simulator battle event. In this video I want to show you a battle in the I-16. Now that battle was one of the first I have played in a while because I did not have much time, so to get back into it I thought on the first day I fly a plane I really enjoy flying, and as you may know I like maneuverable planes. I know some prefer watching videos about higher tier planes, and I will do more of those as well, but to get back into it I wanted something that can turn, as those are my favorite kind of fighters. And the Mozdok event was on, so I figured that's a good opportunity to bring out the I-16 again, which is a plane I enjoy flying quite a bit. But before we start with that, there's one thing I want to mention real quick. In my last video I talked a bit about the difficulty of spotting, and I have to say that since then I feel it has gotten a lot better. It seems to be easier now to keep an eye on your opponent than it was in the version I played when I was doing my last air battle video. It's not perfect yet, and always depends on the situation of course, but I do feel there's an improvement. And in the Mozdok event I found I could keep an eye on targets better now than when I played the same event a few batches ago, despite having not the best lighting conditions. I just wanted to give a little bit of an update on that, since I talked about it in the last video. Well then, a word or two on the plane I'm flying, the I-16. I've made a video featuring this plane already, so I won't go into too much detail. In the background footage right now I'm flying a Type 18 over Stalingrad. In the fight in the Mozdok event in the main part of the video I will fly the Type 28 though. The Type 28 is a premium I-16 with cannon armament, similar to the Type 27 in the normal tree. With those cannons in the wings the plane has quite a decent armament, and that is an important factor for a plane in those events where it will face 109Fs and Gs. Because your opponents are usually much faster than you and can dive away and get out of fire range rather quickly, so having weapons that do lots of damage in a short amount of time really helps. Other than that, what I really like about the I-16 is its already mentioned maneuverability. Now, the plane has of course a somewhat low wing loading and is very light, so it's a great turner with a decent energy retention in turns, but there are of course planes that will turn even better. Lower mark Spitfires for example, or Zeros of course. They have an even lower wing loading. However, the I-16 has something few of the other monoplane turn fighter possess, and that is an exceptional roll rate on top of its good turn time. That is a rare combination and makes the I-16 in my opinion one of the most maneuverable monoplanes in the game. And believe it or not, I think that looking some more into flying the Focke-Wulf 490 with its great roll rate previously has improved my flying with the I-16 as well. Another upside of the plane is its decent rate of climb, which it has because of its low wing loading in combination with a very good power loading. On the downside the plane is of course very slow compared to contemporary planes. Well then, let's take a look at the battle in the plane, in the Mozdok-Malgobek event. The fighter opposition is mostly Bf-109Fs and Gs, as well as sometimes MC-202s. All of course a lot faster than the I-16. However, the I-16 with its combination of turn rate and roll rate can make an incredibly difficult target for a Bf-109 attacking at speed, as the 109's roll rate at higher speeds is pretty bad. So, if you see your attacker coming in the I-16 you can usually evade his fire for quite a while, long enough for either help to arrive or the opponent running out of patience and making a mistake. Now after takeoff I follow my team towards the objective. I know I will be one of the last to arrive here since I am pretty slow, but that's okay, it gives me time to climb and hopefully dive into a dogfight already in progress, where the opposing fighters have lost enough speed that I can stay with them in my I-16. I could not go too high as I was flying into clouds and had to reduce altitude to get out of them again, but I hope most of the other players had the same problem. And indeed I can see a few planes among the AA fire. They are of course too far away to identify yet. I see one fighter coming my way to my right and I close in on him, but I'm already pretty sure it's a friendly as the AA is firing on him and we are over enemy ground troops, and indeed it turns out to be a mix-3. However, I was apparently not the only one who figured that this plane must be Russian if the AA is firing at it. I turn around while looking for other planes, and as I see the mix-3 again, it has picked up a tail. It seems a 109 came in behind the mix-3 and is chasing it. Luckily for me they are a bit lower than me and coming my way, so I can dive after them and hopefully catch up. The MiG dives away in both paths right below me, so I can just do a split S and go after them. the MiG turns hard to the left as the 109 closes in, and the 109 goes up in what appears to be a high yo-yo turn to stay with him, and I can catch up with him as he does so. I get a few hits in, but nothing critical yet it appears, so I turn after the 109, which appears to climb in a slight turn. I do have, however, enough speed left from the dive so I can close in on him again, especially since the I-16 doesn't climb that bad itself. As I get in fire position, I fire another cannon burst, before I start to get a bit too slow and have trouble keeping the nose on target. I do, however, get a critical hit, and apparently the 109 lost its tail control. I figure I did enough damage, and I assume the 109 will go down, and I don't want to focus longer on him than I have to with the battle just started and still lots of enemies around. So I break off, but for a second it looks like the 109 came around to attack, so I go evasive. But the big 3 is on him, and I figure the 109 either goes down from the damage I inflicted or the MiG will get him, so I look for another target. Since we are over enemy troops, I can't use AA to locate enemy fighters. However, I can see a few planes in the distance which are fired upon by enemy AA, so I know they are friendly. But the enemy fighters know that too, so I figure I move that way, and maybe if another one of those friendlies gets attacked I can help out again. I do fly a bit of a zigzag to make a harder target should the 109 come in from above, and also because it reduces visibility death zones behind me when I look back. And after a bit when I look down I can see tracers all the way down on the deck. Looks like German cannon tracers, so I come around to go after whatever is down there. I bank hard to the left to get my nose pointed at those tracers, and I try to identify where they were coming from. As I come around I can see 3 planes down there, one already smoking and 2 others presumably enemy fighters behind it. I'm sadly too late to help out the friendly under attack. He goes down and the 2 other planes pull up, one of them in a more shallow climb away from me, but the other one is coming my way in a steeper zoom climb, and I hope I can intercept him and catch him when he's slow. And indeed I do manage to get close enough to him, and just as he levels out I open fire and get a hit. I'm not sure he realizes right away that I'm an I-16, since he turns a bit instead of just diving away. He might think I'm a Yak or a Li-5 because of my cannons. But that gives me an opportunity to cut into his turn and fire another burst, and that one hits the wing and takes it off. Now after that I start thinking about heading back home, as I am getting low on cannon ammo and I am pretty far over enemy territory, constantly being shot by enemy AA. I do however spot another 109 and try to give chase, but I'm not fast enough to catch up to him. I try to fire a machine gun burst after him, hoping he might turn and give me a chance to catch up, but he doesn't, so I break off and head back towards my base to rearm. I am almost home when I spot another plane in the distance, higher than the other ones were, and I decide to check out what it is. As I get closer the AA opens up on this plane, but this time we're over friendly troops, so the plane indeed has to be enemy. I figure it might be a bomber as we're close to a bombing target. And indeed I can soon see the trademark fixed landing gear of a Stuka. But that's not all I see. I can also spot a second plane a bit higher following the Stuka. I assume that is a Bf-109. Now the smart thing to do here would be to climb and go after the 109 first, but I fear that I might not be able to catch up to it when he spots me, and I also figure that with my heavy cannon armament I can most likely take out the Stuka in a single pass, so I decide to go for the Stuka first. Take it out fast and then deal with the Bf-109. I feel fairly confident in my ability to evade the attack of a Bf-109 if I see it coming with the I-16's maneuverability. Not the safest approach, but I don't always take the safest route. In hindsight, that turns out to be a mistake, as it takes me longer to finish off the Stuka than I expected. The first salvo wasn't well aimed and the Stuka speeds up as he starts his attack, making it harder to get close. I have to stay below the Stuka to evade the tail gunner. On the second try I take more careful aim for the left wing of the Stuka, and this time I get him. Since it took me so long to get the Stuka down, the 109 had much more time to attack than I had planned. But as I looked back I can't see him, so I climb a bit while scanning my surroundings trying to find him. Meanwhile the Bf-109 I attacked first finally crashes. He managed to stay airborne for quite a while, and I get a surprising double kill. Since I can't find the 109 at this point, I decide to change course back to base and rearm, but just as I come around I can see a 109, presumably the one I saw earlier diving down towards the Stuka's wreck. I try to go after him. As he dives past me I come around and follow the 109, but he's a lot faster than me and I can't catch up to him. I'm not sure at this point if he saw me or not, so I figure I go after him a bit more, and maybe if he did not saw me, I get an opportunity to sneak up on him when he turns around. After all, he is heading away from the objectives, he has to come around eventually. But it seems the 109 did see me, and he is coming back down straight at me to attack. And it's a great thing that he did. I roll to the side, evade his attack, and as I look back to see where he goes, I see another 109 right behind me, which I missed, as I was focused on the one right in front of me. I roll and turn out of his way, and then roll back into him. I could just outturn him without needing to scissor, of course, but then he could just break off and I could not catch up to him. This way I hoped I might get a good shot into him as he overshoots. But I am down to only machine guns by now, and the 109 is just too fast, and I'm out of effective range before I can get a hit into him. We are however flying right towards my airbase, and I have already called for help, predicting I might need a hand from a faster fighter to catch up to the Bf-109, and I do so again. So I just follow behind him in a slight climb to get back a bit of altitude. I keep checking to the rear for the other 109, but it appears he has moved away. As we get closer to the airbase and the airfield AA starts to open up, the 109 uses his speed to get some altitude and turns away towards his own base. I'm not fast enough to catch him, and eventually a Yak-1 and a MiG-3 show up and take over the chase. Now, since I can't stay with them and I'm out of cannon ammo anyway, I break off the chase and turn around towards the airfield. But as I approached for landing, I could see the second 109 from earlier off to my right, and I expected he might come in to attack me when I'm landed. What I like to do in such a situation is to do a fake landing. Fly over the base at low altitude to make it look from a distance that you are landing. If someone was planning to come in to attack landing aircraft, this will draw them in. And indeed, after I passed over the airfield, the AA is opening up at the approaching Bf-109. Sadly, it seems he saw in time that I'm not really landing, and he turned away sooner than I had hoped. If you time it right and you fly slow enough, you can often gain distance from the airfield without being seen, and do a surprise attack on the attacker. But this is not the case here. I again give chase a bit, but can't catch up to the Bf-109 as he moved away towards his base, and I was running low on fuel, so after a second landing ruse, to make sure, I landed for real. Now, after landing and rearming, there were 4 enemy planes left in the battle, me and the MiG-3 on my team, and the MC-202 and the Bf-109 on the enemy team. So, after rearming, I head back out to try to find them. And eventually, after a bit of looking, I find the Bf-109 above the clouds and close to our airbase. He's higher than me and of course a lot faster, but he's also looking for targets and often flying wide circles while doing so. So I try to get slowly closer and climb above him, hoping I might eventually be able to come down from above when he turns around. I do get pretty close, but eventually the Bf-109 spots me, and he is still higher than me when he does. I did not manage to get an altitude advantage over him, and he is coming down for an attack and then uses his superior speed to zoom back up. When he climbs back up, I do fire a burst after him, hoping I might get a good hit, but I don't. Now, as I've said earlier, it's very easy to evade in the I-16 if you see the attack coming. So I will just try to play energy vampire here, evade his fire and hope he either eventually makes a mistake or I get help. I called for help earlier, and the MiG-3 has by now killed the MC-202, but is rearming at the airfield, so it will take a while for him to do that and then climb up to here and find us. So what I usually do in a situation like that is follow the higher plane, match his heading and just follow him just on lower altitude. When he comes down to attack, I evade, but I also try to do it in such a way that I match his flight path when he dives past me, and then maybe get an opportunity for a shot before he is out of range again. What that means is, when he comes down, I try to turn into him in such a way that my flight path is parallel to his flight path when he comes by me, not crossing each other, and this way I hopefully gain on him eventually. I do get pretty slow, but I can see vapor trails from his wings, which means he's close to stalling and probably pretty slow as well. After we fly a circle in formation for a bit, he tries to come around and attack head on. But the altitude difference is not quite big enough. I keep an eye on him as he comes around and try to match his flight path to his so that I can go after him when he passes me, but with the distance between us being so slow, he has trouble getting the nose around in time and eventually pulls a bit too hard and stalls the plane. That slowed him down quite a bit, and I can fire another burst after him as he zooms up again. This time I'm a bit closer though than last time. And as this burst connects with his wing, well, what went through my mind matches his name pretty closely. Well, and that was the last plane on the enemy team, so this is it for this battle. I always enjoy flying the I-16, especially in events where it plays a bit of an underdog role. And I hope it is enjoyable to watch too. But in general, the combination of great turn and roll rate just makes this plane tons of fun to fly. I hope I also get the chance to try the I-16 vs Zeros sometime in the future. That's a matchup I'm curious about, though I don't know if we currently have an event that provides this matchup. Well, and this is it for this video. As always, I hope it was entertaining, thanks for watching, and maybe I'll see you next time.